Okay.
Welcome to the South Russell Village Council meeting. Today is Monday, October the 10th, 2022. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take the roll.
L.
Here.
Berger.
Here.
Kent.
Here.
Kavanaugh. Here. Rudy.
Here.
Porter.
Here. We have minutes from the September 26th special council meeting. Any changes or corrections to those minutes? Move to approve. Move to approve by Porter, seconded by Canton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. We have minutes from the September 26th regular council meeting. Any changes or corrections? Motion to approve. So moved. Moved by Porter, seconded by
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. We have minutes from the October 3rd special council meeting. Any changes or corrections in the special council meeting?
Not special.
We have a motion to approve.
Move.
Moved by Kavanaugh, seconded by Bell. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, minutes are approved. And we have minutes from the October the 3rd special meeting and the 2023 budget work session. Any changes or corrections with those minutes?
That's just the budget part, or
The whole part.
also the only thing, I would like to add to, Tim's just straight was that in describing the loader, we need to put in there that the pin on the bucket was sheared. And that was one of the big reasons for needing a replacement.
What page you're on?
Oh, I don't know what page I'm on, but I can tell you in a second.
Page 2, regarding the loader.
Yeah, in general, just a description of, why it needs help.
For clarification, though, that pin was replaced, correct? So it was a failure of a pin that was replaced and brought the loader back to full operation.
Well, but you don't just replace the thing, because the whole thing goes carrying on. We've had this happen, and we have other pins that aren't the way they were intended to be.
Is that what happened, Tim? Or is it fine?
I didn't understand what you said.
Pardon?
What did you say?
I said that once you shear a pin, it's a heavy hanging object, and
Correct.
other things are not in the position that they were intended to be
Correct.
initially.
But the repairs are all made and it's fully operational.
Repairs are made in-house and it's operational. Can you would add that at the last, after the last sentence of that paragraph about the loader?
Which one are you on?
Page 2,
Page 2,
third paragraph starts with the 2015 loader.
yes,
You
that
would
would,
add the verbiage about the pin at the end of that paragraph.
that would be fine.
Okay, any other corrections? Motion to approve the minutes,
So moved as amended.
moved by Porter as amended,
Second,
seconded by Kavanaugh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. We have no visitors. We are now at the mayor's report. I threw the mayor's report in front of you today, 2 minutes ago, in fact. You may have noticed that the fall festival, Charlie Zimmerman's display is not there. He's working with a man who made the display. I think it's called Creative Cards or something. He's a local, and the guy will have it fixed, and Charlie said he'll just get it and put it back up when it's convenient. He is off of college by now. We now have 7. One of the 8 people who was interested in serving as an alternate planning commission has backed out. They're invited to come to the PC meeting. After that, I'm going to hold some Zoom interviews to talk to them, see what they think. Schmidt Falls High School senior class is going to be doing community service on our park on Wednesday. We're going to do 2 things. We're going to work with Judy Harvey on the Tom Harvey Memorial Butterfly Garden, and we're going to restore the Northwoods Trail to be like the Eagle Scout, and we're going to add to that the Shady Dog Trail, built by the Girl Scouts. Just comment to the investment board, one of the things with our meeting that we should include the head of finance, and we probably should get one citizen, so we need to start thinking about that, probably through finance, maybe we'll talk about a citizen or two that we would want to put on.
That legislation was already passed, just so you know.
Would you have to amend it by ordinance,
It's
Daniel?
already been done.
Oh.
So we're just waiting for a citizen.
But our meeting's on November 29th, so we'd like to get somebody up to speed before then. Street commissioner, I met with a resident, that's $5,000. A person died, and they originally, the person, the man who's in charge of the donation took it to the Geographic Parks, and they did not accept it. They didn't want it. They looked at buying benches. I think if you would use a bench or buy a bench or rent it, you basically rent a bench for 10 years from the Geographic Parks. So he came to us and said, how about flagpoles with lights? And it's pretty well full with flagpole with lights. So we're going to look into possibly a solar panel on the south side of the pavilion or more benches. We need more benches. We did have a guy call. It was kind of funny. He offered to do a 10-foot pond because he needs 8,000 yards of dirt, which would have been about 100 to 200 truckloads. And of all that dirt that went north, he could have easily had dirt, but too late for that.
Where do you envision this pond there, if it's gone that far?
No, personally, no, I don't think it's gonna go any further than right tonight, but we don't wanna do it. Personally, from my point of view, a 10-foot pond could be a hazard. We could do it, I checked with Pete McDonald, we could do it on the, I guess on the East Washington side would be the easiest on our triangle, because that's where we have a nice flat area. Right by the parking lot, you probably could have put it in there. But I didn't go any further in talking to Pete, see, could we do this? Were we allowed to put a 10-foot deep pond? So, and I don't know about the man, he hasn't come back. I did tell him we have a huge pile of dirt next to the park. I said, you can go there and take a look at it, but never heard anything more from him. Chief's going to talk about the dispatch in the Hurricane Ivan. The rain garden, that was put in by 14 volunteers. 6 people, I think, from CT Consultants. Eric, as I told you before, very impressive. Chagrin Valley Watershed Partners and Master Gardeners. The Master Gardener program, basically, they teach you how to, they'll help you put in a rain garden, and you're expected to go help the next rain garden. So we had a lady from Bay Village that came over, and those people worked from 8 to about 4:30.
Wow.
And a lot of hard work. Basically, the whole size of the rain garden, it's smaller than this room, but they dug it down 1 foot. They dug it all by hand. And they're now reconsidering how they get to the, that was a lot of work. And I don't know how I politely say that 9 of the 14 workers were females, but they worked very hard, as did the males. We delivered the Fall Festival leftovers, et cetera, went to the Chagrin Falls Park. Keep kicking around the idea of a village yard sale. Talk to the people who are at the farmer's market about different sales that they've seen. Talk to some people from Chagrin. And right now, it looks like an easy thing to do. Basically, you put in signs. I think what we would do is put in a couple ads in the paper. You put it in the newsletter. It kind of depends when the county tells us we can have our senior pickup and our trash day, but it looks like it's something that we want to consider. Councilman Berger and I met with the leaders of the country estates now, and we gave them all the paperwork about an ESID. They're getting ready, now that we did our share, between Pond 3 to Pond 4. They now realize Pond 4 is an issue, and they're looking at what and how they should do it. Also, the next park committee, we got $500 from the Great Pike family, and we thought we would want to use that money to do a tree and a plaque for Ray. And threw out the idea to the park, I will throw out the idea to the park committee that Judy Harvey has done a lot. She's put in her own, she paid for her own bench, she paid for butterfly garden. Would we want to pay for her plaque? And once we start with the park committee, we'll be back to the recommendation or not. And Soul and Pepper Pike had their fall festivals, and just a list of the things that they're doing, different activities. But that's it. Questions of the mayor?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
under number 5, when you talk about possible use of the money being more benches, those benches are for the pavilion? Is that what you're thinking?
No, I'm thinking, pardon me, I'm the street commissioner, I won't speak for him. It's basically some of the, I would say the next thing I would do is do the benches at the top of the hill. But I don't know.
I agree.
Is there only one there now, Tim?
There's 4.
But they need help,
They're the oldest benches we have right there.
because you moved them around.
They were put there at the beginning.
Okay.
Eagle Scout project, was it?
3 of them are maybe scouts, and one of them was the one for the Rose girl, the girl who died, John Carroll student, each one.
Dietrich, I think, is one as well.
And he was that one.
And if they're, depending on how it works, we could transfer a plate or talk to Mr. Dietrich and see if he wants to update his bench.
Okay. But basically, the ones at the top of the hill, just.
Okay.
They're the oldest.
He's just, as I said, we showed him our benches, we showed him the new, we showed him the old, and he said, well, I got $5,000 and I'd like to do something. He likes that.
No, I just want clarification on the definition of benches, because during the fall festival, you showed me the bench, and I'm in the pavilion that was,
That's a picnic table.
yeah, okay, you call it a picnic table, okay, thank you for clarification. I do have another question.
Okay.
Or another comment. That is with regard to number 10 in the village yard sale. I'll again remind mayor and council that we have HOAs in the village that prohibit yard sales.
Yep.
So we need to be careful that we tell people in those communities that, oh, we're having a yard sale, but you can't have one at your house.
Definitely.
Okay, by
Set them
HOA
up in the
rule.
driveway.
Well, it's, again, my concern was that somebody said, okay, take all my junk up to Village Hall on Saturday morning. No.
No.
Any other questions of the mayor?
Real quick, I have a question.
Yes, Chris.
On number 8, it looks great, the rain garden. My question is, this evening, we have legislation in front of us to approve the work that's already been done. So I guess I just want to ask you the backstory, how it got done, and now we're doing the legislation. It seems backwards.
I had to ask for some sort of agreement. I finally got it the day before the construction was planned.
From the watershed partners?
Yeah.
Hadn't the Parks Committee already said recommended approval of this? So it didn't just happen out of the blue?
No.
No,
It didn't just show up? It's been going on for a while, I guess, right?
I look back at 3 years since we talked about a rain garden, which is kind of typical for us. I mean, we did it right, and
Have you seen it, Mark?
I've heard about it.
It's nice.
And one of the last council meetings, I think the council did ask for some sort of agreement or something in writing.
yeah, we finally just got it, yeah.
Right.
Any other questions of the mayor?
Mayor selling himself short, he went down and worked with all those folks too.
You know, Ruth, and I couldn't keep up. Thank God I had some appointments that I could say, oh, I have to leave now. Yeah, it was a great experience, and, yeah, we're gonna, great student and I are gonna write a letter to people. You know, as I said, somebody from Bay Village who comes here, works, I don't know her name. All right, fiscal officer, you're up.
I distributed my report today, council, other questions.
Question with regard to the tax collection implementation which I had. Okay, the comment was that we had received less in 2022 than in 2021 for the last 3 months. But
No, just per month. for
Per month.
September.
yeah, July, August, and September, I believe this. But we are still, I mean, we are virtually,
Above, correct.
I mean, we're way above the program, and if we just match what we got the last 3 months in the final quarter, we will be 15% above last year in taxes. Okay, I just wanted that clarification.
And I did, get in contact with CCA for figuring out, what we should budget for next year, so we think we have a good strategy, so I will adjust those numbers in the 2023 budget.
I got that on Friday afternoon.
Any other questions or?
I have a whole list of questions, so,
Questions for council?
yeah, questions. So because of our budget work session last week, I've been trying to get the budget put together from the information I got at that meeting. So the one question I have for the bathroom, we were estimating at $70,000. Do we have a quote for that? Is that a number?
Got one, you haven't gotten the other two. They're 63.
So
They
we
did
want to do 63, we want to do 70.
70, because he said it come January 1st, the price will go up.
Okay, and then, for the, loader for 2023, I had somewhere, it was 127,000, but when I was looking at the tax budget that I got earlier in the year, the gross is 170,000, so we have to budget by gross, so we budgeted 170,000, 123,000, or 125,000, I forget the numbers.
I think streets committee would recommend budgeting with the gross amount of 170. You think that's right, Chris?
There's a tree, it was 40 something, I
Yeah.
recall.
And then, for the retention pond, because there was conversation about budgeting 20,000 for trees along Chillicothe Road for the retention pond, and I met with the engineer on Friday. He said we should not be putting any trees there for at least a year, correct?
Yeah.
So I don't think we need that 20,000 in the budget.
We're talking about a year from now. We
He
might
wasn't sure
possibly
we
plan-
needed. And that's why I'm asking. He
Is
doesn't
it not
know.
stable, Eric, or what?
It's not that it's not stable. I just think we should, they haven't even seeded it yet. It hasn't had a chance to grow. I think we should take a good look at the final product once it's thick green. We got a thick green stand of grass and it looks like the final product, which will be in the spring, May of next year, before we determine how we want to dress the area up, if it even needs to be dressed up. I mean, if we want to plant any trees around the retention basin, it's not a matter of stability, it's just a matter of aesthetic. So I think we ought to wait to see what the final product looks like once it's all come in before we say, oh, let's do something with it. We may like it as is and not want to do anything. It's certainly not required.
I would suggest we leave the budgeted amount in place in case we want to do something come November next year.
Fair enough.
Or wait until the following spring because trees go dormant or something like Ogle was managed.
Right.
But if we appropriate, budget the money now, don't use it, it can go elsewhere. But if we don't budget, we have to amend. So let's leave it in, we'll see what happens. You may be right, it'd be a beautiful carpet, and we don't want to do anything more.
It looks nice now.
But we can't use ARPA money for that. I mean, the engineer confirmed, because ARPA money is for the stormwater.
Correct.
Then, for the traffic light, part of it will be done, this year, part of it for next year, so we'll probably just encumber that over from 22 to 23. Manor Brook and retention pond, we're hoping we'll be complete and all building done by the end of the year. ARPA, I'm working on finding out how much will be left for additional stormwater projects. And then just so, everyone has it on the radar for the salt dome, and if, eventually if there's going to be another, service building addition or whatever, there will be engineering costs related to that for part of it. With that, and then, that's all I have about budget. In front of me today was the 2022 CT spreadsheet and air, and my report has a 2020 report. And then lastly, for the Veterans Day breakfast, one of the costs, the mayor gave me information today, was to do $100 to do the money. So we need council's approval for that, because that's kind of a donation. I didn't hear what it's for.
I would suggest we do $100 donation, check to Dave Lang, the guest speaker. That's his an honorarium, gas mileage, frankly, coming up from where he's coming. So we need a motion on that.
Who is David Lang?
Dave Lang is going to be the guest speaker at the,
I know, but.
He was in the military, he was in Vietnam, and he was the longtime editor of the Shipping Valley Times.
Yep.
And all this came down
and he will, go ahead.
for veterans, quoting his experience in Vietnam, or Vietnam era. I'm not sure if it was Vietnam, but it was Vietnam era.
Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion that the village provide $100 honorarium to David Lang for the purposes of his speech to the veterans assembled at the Veterans Luncheon. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you. That's
Ms.
all I have.
Goff, is there anything else? Chris, I don't know if your numbers match mine, but looking, if we get 50,000 more in income tax, we beat last year's.
Yeah, we
And
have a quarter to go.
Yeah. We're fat. Okay. Finance committee.
All right, Finance Committee, next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, the 17th of October, 8 o'clock in the morning at UH. So,
Questions of the finance committee? Solicitor.
I have nothing to report. I have nothing to report, I'm sorry,
I heard you.
I apologize, I've got a cold, I'm sorry.
But, well, I'm sure we'll hear from you before the night is out. Okay. We are at the, on your agenda, we are at the engineer.
Thank you, Mayor. A few items. Starting off with the Mr. Excavator projects, as we're calling them, the Manor Brook Stream Restoration Project and Central Retention Basin Project. Both projects are substantially complete. They are on track to get everything seeded and stabilized at the Central Basin Project by the contract completion date, which is I think October 30th, end of this month. And council has authorized a time extension for the Manor Brook for wrapping up the landscaping and seeding at the Manor Brook project based on the availability of dormant trees to give them the maximum chance of survivability. The council was looking at December 31st. However, Mr. Excavator believes they will be done by December 7th in advance of our December 8th planning commission meeting. I want everything to look as complete as possible.
Danielle, for that, there may be some council members on this, so this is the planning commission, special council meeting, walk in the, how are we gonna handle all this?
Is it a joint meeting?
I would think there's gonna be some members of council there walking through the Manor Brook construction site.
Okay.
So that's counts the meeting.
It would have to be a joint meeting of planning commission and council, it's on, I believe, December 8th, and I thought it was in the morning.
9 a.m.
Was it
So
9
there
a.m.?
is a time. Now, that's the question. And I don't know, Eric, Got an email from Mr. Greenleaf, who's,
I saw that today, he copied me on it.
so do you want to go at 8 or, I haven't heard back from him either, if we go at 8 or 10.
Did he ask for a meeting?
No, but he said what's gonna happen next, so I said.
We're gonna seed it.
Yes,
The seating's done.
Oh, is it? Okay.
yeah, it looks nice.
We're talking about over in the central retention.
Yeah, I wasn't, I saw the email that came through, he said it was pretty much as the engineer explained it was gonna be, and he didn't seem to have any issue. I don't know if we should explore it any more than that, unless he has a specific question. Why would we meet and discuss something if he doesn't have a question or a concern?
Okay,
That's not about trees.
Perhaps not.
no, but you know, when you go by there now, you can't see his house.
Right.
So I think you guys did a great job.
My only other item was, we're finishing up, reconciling our final quantities for the road program. The road program is also substantially complete. There's a couple of punch list items, 2 base repair areas. One needs to be completed, one needs to be revisited and made a little better. We should be, according to my numbers, we're gonna be tracking around $25,000-ish below the awarded contract amount. So the awarded contract amount was $675 and change. I'm coming in around $650 and change, so we should have plenty left in the coffer to cover the cost of the reclamite that was done on the streets this year. So we should be in good shape and in budget.
Questions of our engineer?
306 culverts.
We're on track to advertise for bids this month.
And when are the bids due back, do you think? Late November, perhaps?
We'll advertise, open, will be opening probably middle of November at the earliest.
Can they do the work in December?
Oh, absolutely. I doubt,
It's council's meetings, I mean, we have 2 in November, only 1 in December.
right,
So if we're going to award a contract, presuming the bids meet the specifications, and do it this year, and spend the money this year.
there likely won't be any money spent, because once a contractor puts his shovel in the ground and actually starts spending money, there's typically a one month, he works for a month, give or take, and then asks to be paid that first installment. That won't happen until 2023. Danielle and I discussed that on Friday. So we're not planning on encumbering any money for that fiscal year.
So it will be 2023 money, Daniel? Okay.
Eric, from your contacts, did the price of asphalt rise tremendously over the summer?
Yeah, it did.
And it probably was, so we were lucky with specialized.
We were very lucky. We got the prices locked in when we did. I could go into a big talk of how outrageous some of the asphalt prices were. We didn't experience that, and I'll leave it at that, and we'll count our lucky stars that we got locked in at a low price.
And plan accordingly for 23.
And planning accordingly for 23. I think they're gonna come back down. I just wanna be out early in 2023 to potentially capitalize on the same trend.
Any other questions for our engineer?
No, just a comment, I really want trees in front of that or facing.
Okay.
So we have 20,000 if we decide a year from now to put in trees, we can do it. Just as I said, it looks so much better, but it is strong. Yeah, it looks very nice. Street Commissioner, you're up.
Submitting my monthly report for September. Are there any questions? Additionally, the road striping, the center lines, yellow is done, the white sidelines are done, and the arrows in school zone handicap areas are next. Also, the LED stop sign is Snyder and Bell installation is gonna happen tomorrow. So,
Is it gonna be flashing or?
Yes.
Do the neighbors like that?
they like it so far. I spoke to them, I didn't show it to them, but they're a fan. Because they hear the cars crash and the other side of the road.
They were flashing the ski box there now too, so it doesn't see the bottom.
Okay,
That's all I have.
questions of our Street Commissioner?
One question, Tim, and only because Ruth asked my curiosity. That pin on the loader that broke, is that a shear pin?
No, it's a hinge pin, you might say.
Okay.
And that's the solid steel variety?
Correct. Solid, it's probably 2 inches around, 1.5 inches around.
Thanks.
Right, street committee,
The street committee met October 7th. The minutes were in the package, along with the prior month's meeting minutes as well. Our next meeting will be planned for November 4th, which is the first Friday of November. Hard to believe we're saying November already. And it will be at 7:30 a.m., street commissioner's office. All are invited to attend. And subject to any comments by Councilman Bell, it'll be the street committee report.
okay. We are at the building committee.
Thank you very much, Mayor. In your package, you found the minutes from our October 6th building department meeting. Any questions? Councilman Bell and I are seeking advice from council concerning the potential modification of our code that will allow goats in the village. Councilman Bell and I feel that for us to make an intelligent decision, whether or not we should move this forward or not, that we would like the opinion of council if a special building department meeting, perhaps in the evening, be held to invite the village and hear the pros and cons about the subject.
Might be a good idea. You might want to, and I don't know the date of this, but there was talk about sewers in Lake Louise and in Maple Hill. When, Bill, maybe 2010, Mark, you remember?
Yeah, Mike and I were on public utilities when that came up, and that's quite the process.
And so I think the way it played out was, you polled those 3 neighborhoods. And so something that Jared and Chris might want to do is poll for their police neighborhood, because the homeowners association is not making a decision, they're passing that off to us. Let's hear what people have to say.
Well, and I understand what you're saying, but it would be council's job to create an ordinance that would not be just for Lake Louise, it would be for the entire village. Therefore, I think we should hear from anyone in the village who has an opinion about this issue. We should they should have the opportunity somehow to present their position.
It's valid.
So I think more than just affecting Lake Louise.
Would you be particularly interested in the what's that, Green something road?
Yes, Green Valley.
Green Valley?
Yes, we know.
Green Valley, the people in that area as to having goats in and around them. Because the only request we've gotten is from one homeowner who wants to have goats. So we'll do not want to hear from people who are in the immediate vicinity of that potential thing. I mean, if we heard from people in Paw Paw or Kensington or wherever else who also wanted goats, I think we want their opinions as well. So perhaps a specific invite to those affected homeowners might be in order if the solicitors like,
No, not at all. That's exactly what we talked about at the building committee meeting, is actually maybe like almost like
well,
a
if,
special email of some sort to the HOA and to those surrounding properties, almost like you're treating it like a variance in a sense. So
I
they're
agree with
50 feet,
that.
500 feet from that happening, but also it's really a public hearing, if you will, for anyone in the village. Because again, it would be village-wide.
I seem to remember we did this when the big meeting, the pig,
Probably.
yes, the Potbelly Pig ordinance or amendment was considered. I think we solicited the input from people who lived around where the pig lived. And I don't know if we did that by email or drop something in their mailbox, or maybe a reverse email blast might be useful.
All of those things are brought up, right?
Well, naturally, since it's gonna be sunshine, everyone's invited. But to have, certain communities earmarked along with the sunshine development fund meeting.
Do it as a special council meeting if we have more than 3 council members. And then, we can send out a meet blast and put on the website what the topic will be. Did you want to do it as a special council meeting? Do you want to do it before a regular council meeting, or do you want to do it in the visitor section of a regular council meeting?
You have a number of elderly people that I don't know if they can drive it dark, so that is a consideration of not to drive it dark.
I would suggest we do it before a council meeting, like at 6:30. I'm looking at, say, November 14th or the 28th.
You might want to do it earlier in the day when you're through this comment.
That's
Sunset's 6:30 now.
We need more time earmarked for the meeting.
But not too early, because then there are people that work early times.
Is that 6 o'clock sweet spot,
There is no
right?
sweet spot,
6:50.
because we're gonna lose an hour and it's gonna be
Yeah.
4:30, yeah.
Well, did you just mention that their HOA doesn't want to make it a state policy?
They didn't make a policy, I don't know if they don't want to, but they haven't.
Did you guys hear anything on building committee?
I brought it to the attention of the president of the HOA, and his comment was, quote, "We don't want to touch it," close quote.
Because to Chris's point, you know, we wouldn't just be considering goats in that neighborhood, after that subdivision, it'd be goats throughout the village.
And we also understand that perhaps this Potbelly pig is a bit bigger than we thought it was going to get, and that it does stay outside.
which pig are you talking about now?
How many pigs we have?
It's going to be an anywhere. Now, that was a miniature potbelly pig. Inside the home, yeah. I don't think it exists anymore.
That was 3 years
Far as I
ago.
know.
Okay, well, we,
It was about this big dog, it was about the size of a big dog, but it's full grown. Maybe not even that big.
at our last building meeting, I asked that Dave and Dan investigate the pig caper.
There was a potbelly pig, 300, 400 pounds, that's a toxic family. This is one of Ridgewood, half in Chagrin, half in South Russell.
They're gonna get away.
That's what, 300 pounds?
We had it all.
Oh, he was a sow. Yeah.
That was on Sugar Falls.
I'll be frank with you. I would just say, no, we're not gonna consider this and end this. To cut an exception, to get into the emotion, to turn neighbors against neighbors. You know, the neighbor around the corner, when she had her kids in 4-H, she hauled them to Newberry a couple times a week. The goats are not in South Russell. I believe they're not in South Russell right now. I think the family can haul their kids to wherever it is. I see no reason to cut an exception to this. I think, when you open the door, it's going to open wide, and especially goats, no offense to goats, and I think you should just end it.
If I might add, I hear what you're saying, right? But it is the opinion of the building department that it might be prudent for us to take a long look, study the situation, listen to the people, and then we can make an intelligent decision whether or not we should move this forward.
Okay, I agree with what you're saying, and I think we have resident wholeheartedly lobby us to use that term with a compelling story, and I think we at least owe that resident the opportunity for an open forum from his community, whether they like it or not. And I think we move forward or we don't.
Okay, you want to, we have meetings November, I don't think you want to do it in 2 weeks. November the 14th, November the 28th, 6 o'clock,
6 o'clock on the 14th.
6 o'clock on the 14th.
Now, the people that can't attend, they cannot, say anything by Zoom, correctly? They can only listen?
Correct.
If they can send Jerry, email?
Yes.
Call Jerry, or Chris, email Jerry, or Chris, we're the mayor, really any of us.
We'll share.
I would just, if somebody calls you, says they want to send you an email, I would remind them it's a public record.
Yeah.
It's good.
That's all I have.
Right.
Unless,
And, you know,
Chris, there's something else.
we have our last newsletter before that.
No, last one about beginning of December.
Chris, any more to add?
I have another one.
So that would be considered a special council meeting at 6 p.m. on November 14th. We'll send out an e-blast on the website.
Very good. Thank you.
Questions of the building committee? Chief, you're up.
Thank you. In addition to my month-end report, safety is going to ask council to allow the police department to initiate the process for one, maybe two part-time officers. And they'll be coming up in safety. And also, I still have no confirmation on the delivery of the 2 cars. So at this point, once I get information, I will work with the fiscal officer to figure out if we need to re-budget for next year.
Questions of the police chief?
Chief, we've hired several part-time officers in the last year. Are we getting hours from them?
We just hired 2 part-timers. We lost one recently with the resignation of Officer Balaban. So we have 2 officers that have been with us for a while. We've got Steve Brown and Jim Levine. The 2 newest officers, Dennis Harmon and Kaylee. Kaylee is still in training. You know, with being a part-time job, most of them have full-time jobs, and availability is tough. At one point, we had 9 part-time officers, back when we were pretty heavily staffed. We average about 6, you know, generally. We've been down for quite a while with everything going on. So we're just looking to bolster just a little bit, try to be around that happy medium of about 6. And just availability is not as great as it could be.
Other questions of the chief? Hurricane dispatch?
CBD, Sugar Valley Dispatch, is down in Florida, in Lee County. CBD is a member of TERT, T-E-R-T, Telecommunicators Emergency Response Task Force. They would call into action. A group of CBD employees were deployed to Lee County to provide communications for search and rescue teams working in the area. They're also serving as the 911 backup call center for Lee County until their communications are restored. The only downfall to the whole situation with CBD, they just informed me today that search and rescue efforts have been suspended, and they're now conducting search and recovery efforts. They should be back within about a week or so. So we did a great job on there.
Okay. Safety committee?
Safety Committee met on the October 6th at the Sharon Bowl, or South Russell Village Police Department. The minutes are included in our council packages before us. And Chris already kind of teed up the introductory to, I'd like to open the floor for discussion about, going out for advertising for a position of part-time police officer for the village of South Russell. Chief, do you have any more further comments?
Yeah, in the last year, we've also hired a number of full-time officers that replaced retiring officers. So we had a couple of full-timers leave to replace, full-timers with full-timers. And again, our staff right now currently is at 3 active part-time and 1 in training. So we just haven't received the number of applications that we've received in the past. Generally, someone comes knocking on the door once or twice a month to pick up an application and drop one off, and it just hasn't happened in several months. So, like to maybe, go through the process, put an ad in paper, and initiate a fresh process to see if we get some candidates.
I don't want to speak for the chief, but I think 1 would be
Oh,
the need, 2 would be nice.
It'd be nice,
But a lot of that depends on, and we don't, intend to advertise the amount of openings just for a part-time patrol officer position, and then see what fortune will bear in terms of the quality of candidates.
Be more than happy with one.
Have you seen officers from metropolitan areas come by who have retired and would like to stay in it? Has that happened yet?
Not here. A lot of the cities, in northeast Ohio are doing lateral transfers, so they're actually coming from the big cities, leaving bigger cities like Cleveland to go to, big cities, bigger cities, or smaller cities like Lyndhurst and things like that. So, the ads are all over the place. If you scroll through Facebook, a lot of the things you see nowadays is ads for police officers, and they're throwing, 8x11 flyers out looking for candidates. The profession is suffering for good candidates.
Subject to any other questions, I guess I'd like to open it for discussion. Is there any objection to having the fiscal officer in her role as human resources representative to the employees post an opening for a part-time patrol officer for the village?
We want just one or two?
Well, it would be an open, just position of patrol officer. We could live with one. If we got great candidates, I think we'd consider two. But we're not gonna say two position openings, it's just gonna be part-time.
Let's see what she had. Okay, yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea.
So you're making a motion to advertise for part-time PD?
The first thing was to see if there was any objection or discussion, and I will make a motion that we go forward and advertise for a part-time patrol officer position.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
Subject to any questions, that concludes it.
Okay, we are at the HR committee.
Thank you, Mayor. HR committee will meet this Friday, October 14th at 9 a.m. As part of that meeting, we are meeting with the HR consultants that we previously authorized to hire. They have comments for us regarding the salary, tiered salary schedule, which is the first ordinance here that remains tabled until we have a discussion with them. And we can bring, hopefully, at the next council meeting, we'll bring that to council for their consideration.
Okay.
Subject to comments from Councilwoman Kavanaugh, that's the report.
That is the report.
All right, questions of the HR committee? The property committee.
Thank you again, Mayor. You found once again your packet, joint building and parks committee meeting that was held on September 29th of this year. Any questions? I would like to take this opportunity, Ruth and I, to thank the entire village team, employees, department heads, council, everyone, along with park committee for such a successful festival. It was so nice seeing so many people talking to one another and laughing and smiling and enjoying themselves. When I was on the tractor, I was walking around the park, speaking with people, and they really, truly enjoyed it. The sun did come out, but the wind didn't stop blowing, but it didn't rain. So, no, it was a success. So thank you very, very much. In the near future, I'd like to call for a special property meeting along with the Parks Committee and anyone else who would like to join in, talk about the positive and the negative points of the festival and see how we can improve it. What worked, what didn't work, what the future will hold. So I will contact the Parks Committee, see what evenings they're free, and most likely by the next council meeting, I'll have a couple days for that evening, especially. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to ratify donations of remaining fall festival food.
To the Chagrin
I didn't hear.
Arts is on your list there.
The Chagrin Parks.
Yeah, we actually got a receipt.
And I'll second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed. And also,
Also make a motion to approve village hall use of Paw Lake HOA and preserve of Chagrin, and as of late, we've been waiving the fees, I believe.
Correct, and when is, are you looking at this one?
November 13th, Sunday. 3 o'clock.
With the youth thing come up,
Everything. Like everything.
So that's the motion.
tickets?
So Jerry made the motion.
Sure, second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the Paw Lake on Sunday.
Chris?
So it's Sunday, November 13th, at 3 o'clock. Preserve is Monday, November the 7th at 7 o'clock. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Okay,
I have,
questions of the property,
I'm sorry.
I have a few, well, I wanted to, so that was the first one that I've really been involved with. I was involved with the 90th, but more with the folks who were there, the elderly people who were wonderful at the time, 10 years ago. And I want to give a great big shout out. Well, Jerry was great. Jerry was his organizational self, so thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. Also, the committee, new people on the committee, this was eye-opening and they were wonderful. What Chagrin Tech did is beyond expectation with the cider making and making for hours of cider making from she who used to make cider in the old yard. That's a lot. Those apples have to be clean. It's a lot. We want to thank Ted, but we want to thank everybody at Chagrin Tech, the tractors, the hay rides, the drivers. Just flawless. It was just very, very nice. And I got a boost. My great niece did not know what I did on council, and so when she thought I was fairly special. And she said, Amber, what are you doing here? And I also had a really good time wrapping hot dogs with Mr. Romanowski. Quite entertaining.
It was a hallmark moment. Did anybody get engaged? Is there a dance?
But, you know, many hands make light work, and that was fun work, actually. That froze to death, but it was fun.
any other questions of the property committee? Ruth, you're gonna have to go a long way because Jerry has already convinced his granddaughters he installed that.
I met Jerry's granddaughter. There's no denying that paternity at all, I'm telling you.
It was my pleasure.
All right, we're Public Utilities Committee.
Public Utilities was supposed to meet last Friday, but has been rescheduled for this Friday, October 14th, 10 p.m. at Village Hall.
10 a.m.
Are you sure? No one will be here at 10 p.m. 10 a.m., you're right. 10 a.m. And if the gentleman wants to get in a hole, pond for us, it is available, and would like to discuss that possibility with public utilities, we could perhaps hear him out.
Okay.
And the engineer may have an idea or two of where a possibly larger pond might go.
How big a pond are you thinking?
He just wants to do it.
Sure.
He wants to build a
He said he wanted to do a 10-foot deep pond and needs 8,000 yards of dirt.
Fox Run comes to mind perhaps.
Oh, perhaps.
I mean, we're at the exploratory stage.
Correct.
Fox Run doesn't know anything about this.
Exactly.
And, we have an individual who apparently wants a lot of dirt and would like to dig a pond for us in order to do it. Fox Run is willing
Okay.
Perhaps.
down the road. I don't know how soon he needs the dirt either, right? This next year, if Fox Run is interested in
Then maybe,
easements, without the rigmarole we went through last time with Hanover Gardens, that might be a topic worth exploring.
I'll have something by Friday, 10 o'clock.
Great, thank you, Nick.
Okay.
So there's any comments by Councilman Bell about running these now, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hang on. We got the bill from, the monitoring company. Actually from Chagrin River Watershed Partners. We got it from them. They are doing the monitoring from the Fern Creek tributary at Bell Street. And the bill comes to $1,725. And there, as I recall, this is to measure the flow rate
Yes.
through the creek. And we want to know if it's going to go up or down based on the Manor Brook project and the central retention basin. That's the whole point of this monitoring, as I recall.
The Manor Brook project will be represented, the central retention basin, because that's, you're right.
Just Manor Brook then?
Yeah,
Okay. Seems like a reasonable way to figure out if our project is going to work or not,
correct.
or how well it's working, and if we need, by extension, the southern part of that project, phase 2.
Mhm.
So I think this is a worthy expenditure, Mayor, and Councilman Berger agrees, and I would make a motion that this bill be paid.
Can I just ask, this is right across by Gurney where it goes above Sugar Bush?
It's on the culvert, the concrete culvert pipe.
Yeah.
It's been there for a year for free. Now we have to pay for it. We want to.
And then at some point, we may not need it anymore and take it down.
Right, it's been moved by Porter, seconded by,
I wanna ask the solicitor before I weigh in whether or not this represents conflict as it relates to the Manor Brook project. And I will abstain from that.
okay,
So we need a second from
I'll
somebody
second.
else. Ruth,
Awesome.
motion by,
discussion?
Is the bill for this coming year or for the past year's
this
services?
is coming year. First year was free.
Is for 1 year and maintenance.
Yeah, so.
Okay, it's been moved by Porter, seconded by Kavanaugh. Do a roll call, please.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Abstain.
Gavin. Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Can I get that bill, please?
Motion
Yes.
passed.
Pass it down. And so containing more comments by Councilman Berger, that we complete the public utilities report.
I'm good.
All right, we are now at ordinance and resolution. Chris, first one is HR's.
It's tabled.
Okay, second one, the,
That's mine.
guy.
All right, this is a third reading to consider adoption of an ordinance approving the agreement.
Well, this is introducing, I'm sorry, this is introducing for Carolyn.
Well, it's third reading.
No, it's introducing and waiving readings to adopt.
We did this two
No.
previous.
No, that was to accept the bid, this is to sign the contracts.
Okay. All right. So,
Very different, sort of like what we did with Manor Brook and Central Retention. We accepted we awarded the bid subject to a contract. So,
I did see that the wording was very similar.
no, it's actually a little different.
And we did get a contract.
We did not have a contract, we awarded the bid, we are now entering into the contract, that's what this
Right, we
ordinance.
Sign the
We
contract.
did get a contract.
And
Yes, that's attached, I'm sorry, that's attached as exhibit A.
And that's why
I was
I
confused too, so.
once you accept the bid, then they drop the contract.
Yeah.
Once they drop the contracts, the solicitor reviews it, when she gives her blessing, then approve, sign.
Thanks for that clarification. So correction, this is not a third reading. I'd like to introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance approving the agreement with Paramount Electric Incorporated for the Village of South Russell between State Route 306 and Bell Road Signal Project, authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement on behalf of the Village of South Russell, declaring an emergency and waiving further reading. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Bell. Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Ordinance passed. Next one.
Introduce and consider for adoption a resolution approving the master rain garden agreement between the Chagrin River Watershed Partners Incorporated in the Village of South Russell, authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement on behalf of the village and declaring an emergency. Motion to waive further.
Second.
Roll call.
Ralph.
Aye.
Burger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kendall.
Aye.
Licky.
I'm going to abstain based on the fact that this is after the fact expenditure.
Move to adopt.
Order.
Oh, yeah.
You still have five.
You still need five though.
Right,
As long as I can vote then.
order.
Aye.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Ralph. Burger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kendall.
Aye.
Licky.
Abstain.
Porter.
Aye.
Resolution passed. HR, you want to do that?
Sure. Introduce a resolution of appreciation for Adam Beechman.
Read every last section there, but no, it's easy.
Okay. It's been introduced, you want to do 3 readings, so you got to knock this off.
Well,
it's a-
3 readings, okay. We have the bills list.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to ratify the bills of 9/29/2022 in the amount of $930,583, or $930,583.96. So moved.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Ralph.
Aye.
Roll call. Yes.
Abstain.
Canton.
Stay.
Kendall.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Motion passed. We are in new leather.
Ralph.
I've done.
Burger.
None.
Canton.
None.
Kendall.
Briefly, because I'm looking at the clock. I want to thank Danielle, she showed me downstairs where the oldest minutes and records were, and that was taking the right to start reading through us. We seem to be missing from 1923 through the beginning of 29. And we don't know,
Leslie shared, sent you a link today,
she did,
so everything's digital, so you can read
they're
everything.
going to pull me into the 21st century, whether I want it or not. So thank you for both
I thought those minutes were written on parchment.
those. Some of my And on Labor Day, I don't remember which date, maybe 29 or 30, because it was Labor Day, we couldn't open the building, so they held them at F.W. Kimball's house, which is my house. He was the clerk. That's enough.
Licky.
I only have one question for the solicitor. Anything new on the continuing situation with the corner property?
I have not received a proposal. And if I do receive a proposal, you'll immediately receive it.
Okay, so we received no further information from
I
that.
received nothing.
Nothing but certified mail.
No, I think again, I think you would send it directly to me. I don't think you would send it to the area council, because that would probably be an ethical issue, but I don't,
Okay.
I have not received a thing.
Thanks for the update.
Yes.
That's all you have.
That's it.
Porter.
Nothing.
Before you adjourn, you said, did Adam say December 16th would be good to do it in town?
Yeah.
Kind of count on that. Is that considered a special council meeting if we're all there having lunch and doggies?
Yes.
I think so.
I think it was just a battery sunshine.
Okay, last thing, we talked about a 5:30 budget meeting on October 24th. That doesn't seem to be needed, or is it needed?
I haven't put all the numbers together yet,
So we don't need it.
so I'll have to tell you what we're gonna look like, so hopefully I'll have it out by the end of the week, and then from there, that it looks, from, this design.
Well, so we want to keep the 5:30 on October 24th budget, special budget committee meeting, or budget, special council meeting, is what I'm trying to say,
For the budget.
for the budget.
Better keep it, and then we can always cancel it if the fiscal officer decides it's not necessary.
But it's not my fault, it's your fault, 'cause there wasn't a lot of discussion, so if you wanna have discussion, then
Perhaps the
Keep it.
So 5:30.
Another officer would give us a recommendation whether the meeting is necessary or not, and possibly the department heads might want to have it too, just in case something comes up and want it in.
Well, after her week of work, the finance committee will meet on Monday. Perhaps we can have that discussion with the finance committee and make a recommendation to council.
So right now, we're just holding it for October the 24th at 5:30. We have a motion to adjourn at 8:05 PM. Move.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned.